I have tried many homeschool schedules over the years. Let's talk about my 3 favorite.
If you're new here, I'm Rian, a Christ-following wife and a homeschool mom to 3 boys. Here we talk all things homeschool, and we will learn together how to use our roles as wife, mom, teacher, and homemaker in order to glorify God.
So I found that each season of life calls for a different routine, a different schedule, a different way of life. You never know kind of what things are going to look like year to year when your kids' ages change and your maybe life circumstances change. Your schedule has to change with it, right? And so I'm actually going to cheat and give you my 4 favorite, but there's one schedule that I love that has never worked for my family. And I just don't think it's one that quite works when you have kids. I mean, unless you just have a specific set of children or maybe specific child, I just don't think it works that well with families. And for me, that is the hour by hour, laid out, meticulous, like from this time to this time, we do this. From this time to this time, we do this. Like 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock is our math hour. 9 o'clock to 9:30 is our art time. 9:30 to 9:45 is read aloud time or whatever. It's just never worked. I've tried it 100 different ways and it's just never a good fit for us. But that helps you see kind of into my brain and how my brain actually works. If I have like a set time, things need to be done, I actually am way more productive, but I have to adapt to what works for my family. So here are my 3 favorites that I've used and actually work and I like them. So the first thing I love is a loop schedule. When I first heard of this, I just thought, oh my gosh, that's so confusing. I would never want to do that. But I've done it and I love it. So this is where you sit down and you think, okay, here's what I want to get done in a day. Or you can sit down and think, okay, this is how many times I would like to hit these subjects in a week. So maybe you want to hit math, 5 times in a week or 3 times in a week or whatever. And you want to hit language arts frequently too. But, science, maybe twice a week is fine. History, maybe twice a week is fine. And then you make a loop. So you can go through and you can say, for every one time that I do social studies and science, I want to do language arts math 3 times. So you want to do it 3 times more often. And so you would have a loop of language arts, math, social studies, language arts, math, science, language arts, math. So that would hit those requirements that you set for yourself. And then you would just loop through. And then when school's over, just stop wherever you are, put a pin on it and say, okay, we got through language arts, math, and social studies. So tomorrow we will pick up back with language arts to continue our loop. And then we would go to math and then science and so forth. A lot of times people won't use that so much for the core subjects like that because most people are just like, I want to do math every day. So then a lot of people will use it more for like a morning basket. So if there's just a bunch of kind of extra stuff that doesn't really fit in a specific subject, then you would put all these kind of in a morning basket or whatever you want to call it, and you would loop those. So then you could do, we want to do memory work, and we want to work on our Latin, and we want to work on our geography songs, and we want to work on memorizing a poem. Okay, whatever those things are, you would just put those in a loop and say morning basket time is 15 minutes. So we're going to go through each of those things. Whenever we need to stop, we'll stop, and then we'll start back here the next time and then loop back around until our time's over, and then we'll put a pin in it there. That way you're not just only getting through your, memory work each morning. You're also, making sure you're hitting those other things often too. I've also seen this used within a subject. So maybe for language arts itself, maybe you're like, I want to do language arts every day. Well, language arts can be a lot of different things. Language arts can be your vocabulary, your spelling, your phonics, your writing, your grammar, your handwriting. I mean, all those are kind of the language arts under the language arts umbrella. So maybe you take vocab, spelling, phonics, writing. I'm leaving out a few, but just say we have those 4. And you say, okay, we have a language arts 45-minute block. And we're going to do vocab and spelling and phonics. Oh, we're out of time. Well, then tomorrow you would start with writing and then go back up to vocab and then spelling and then, oh, we're out of time. Then the next day you would do phonics and so on. So that you're doing language arts every day, but you're making sure you're hitting all of those different areas without feeling like you have to cram it into one day. So that is a loop schedule. It actually works really, really well when you just want to make sure you're hitting things frequently, but don't have all the time to fit everything into one day. The next schedule that has really worked for us, especially in this current season, we're loving this type of schedule, is a block schedule. So this is where you just set a time aside, a chunk of time, depending on what your day looks like, where you do certain things. So for example, this looks like for us, we do 9 a.m.-ish to 11 a.m.-ish is my big boy's independent work, and I do preschool with the 4-year-old. Now, he doesn't usually take a full 2 hours to do school, so I can also take that time to help the big boys if they need any help, and I'm also chasing baby and whatever else. Well, I'm not chasing him yet, but that will be coming. I'm tending to baby, I guess, would be the better word choice there. And then, so that's like our independent work / preschool work block. So then from, 12 to 1 or 11 to 1 is more of our lunchtime and get outside and play time. So kind of a recess chunk. And then from 1 to 2, I'm laying down the preschooler, and that is our work with Momma block. And so that's when my big boys come with me one-on-one and do their language arts and their math, because they still kind of need instruction on that stuff. And then from 2 to 3 is when we wrap up with our family subjects. So that is our Sunlight, which is history, Bible, and literature, and our science. Those are things that I teach to everyone all together. Now the preschooler, if he's awake, he joins in. If he's napping, he's napping. But it's just subjects that we don't, cater to anyone. It's just all of us together. And so that gives us kind of a set start and finish time, because we never get in as much as I want to. It's like I could always be like, oh, I just wish you would have hit this. I wish we would have gotten to this. But this makes sure that we are ending at a decent time, because otherwise school for us would drag on and on and on, and some days it still does. But this gives us set aside time where we start and we finish, and we just get as much done as we can in those blocks. Now, a lot of times I like to make a hybrid of the loop and the block schedule, and I like to have, okay, here's our family subject block and loop within that block, if that makes sense. So for instance, when we have our work with Momma time, if we did math first yesterday and then got to language arts, then I would just start with math again. But if for whatever reason math took the whole hour, then the next day we would start with language arts. So we kind of loop within the block. That way, if we have just several hard math days in a row, we don't end up doing math for 3 days and never touching our language arts. Now, something else that has worked for us in the past, and I imagine it will be something we revisit in the future, is just a daily flow or rhythm or routine, whatever word you want to use there, with anchors. And so this is, we have a set order to our day, but we kind of tie it to anchors throughout our day that are like non-negotiables. So we're going to eat lunch every day. My kiddos especially, they will not let me forget lunch every day. And so what that might look like is, okay, we're going to do morning basket. We're going to eat breakfast. So that's going to kick off our school day. As soon as breakfast is over, we know it's school time. So then we're going to do our morning basket, our preschool, and our independent work, and maybe start on family subjects. And then we're going to have lunch. And so then we will have language arts and math, and then we'll have a chore time. So those 2 meal times plus the chore time are kind of our anchors in the day, and we know the time on the clock doesn't really matter, but we know that between breakfast and lunch, here's what we need to do. We know that between lunch and chore time, here's what we need to do. There is a whole slew of other schedules you could use. People are coming up with new things all the time, but I've seen people who have set time anchors. So it's just like, we start our day here, we end our day here. Here is the flow of how things go, and let's just go for it. My kids really like that way. It's still a little too loosey-goosey for me, but some people really do well with that type of schedule. I've also seen people do like kind of rotating days, like we'll have, a math heavy day and a language arts heavy day, or maybe we'll alternate between science and history. And that kind of reminds me of middle school. We did block scheduling where it wasn't the kind of block scheduling I'm talking about here, but we had an A day and a B day. So we had a day of classes, of 4 main classes on A day, And then on B day, we had 4 other classes. And I've seen people use that in homeschool too. I hated it in junior high because it was so confusing on like, wait, is today an A day or a B day? Did I get that homework done or did I not? You know, I much prefer just going to all my classes every day. But I think they were trying to see if spending longer in each class was beneficial. I don't know. But I've seen people do that in homeschool where it's like, okay, we'll do math and science and read alouds this day. We'll do morning basket and history and language arts this day. And then we'll just go back and forth. So maybe you could try that if that seems like something that would work for you. So I think it's always important to consider what your goals are. Like, what do you want to get done, you know, over the course of a semester or over the course of a week or over the course of a day? And set realistic expectations. I know what I would love to get done in a day is not what I can get done in a day. And you have to know your kids. You have to know what outside commitments you guys have going on. You have to know what stage you're in. But after you just kind of think through all those things, just pick one and try one. Some people are like, well, how do you do it all? How do you do it all? I don't, but I try my best. And I put systems in place that make success more probable, but it doesn't mean that every day I get everything done, and that's okay. So I would just encourage you mamas who are maybe trying to find something new to make it work better, or maybe you're new to this homeschooling world and you're like, I don't know how I'm ever going to do this. Just consider those things that I just mentioned and pick the one that seems the most likely to make you succeed and try it. And if you try it for a few weeks, you're like, this is awful, pick a new one and try again. So let me know what schedule is currently working for you if you have one, or are you just kind of like, whoa, I need some help. And be on the lookout. Our next video is going to be a biblical womanhood video all about wisdom. So be sure to come back for that. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.